Ladies and gentlemen, it is the 30th December and we have more deals on the Steam as well as other game sales. And we finally have Far Cry 3. When we'd just given up hope, they give us it. And we have Far Cry 3. There's a couple of deals available on the Far Cry series. I'll get into them first. Far Cry 3, Far Cry 1 and Far Cry 2 Fortune's Edition is available for £30.49. That's 34% off. Before you rush and buy it, however, let's hear what I have to say, okay? It's very important. In my opinion, Far Cry 1 is still a really good game, and I'd recommend you check out my video, which is actually kind of recent, and it shows you the graphics and so on of Far Cry 1 on absolute max. Far Cry 2 is... It's basically some people love it and some people hate it. But some people love it is kind of like saying that, you know, people like Marmite, but the Marmite has a turd in it. In other words, you're going to get the odd person who does, but most people don't like Far Cry 2. On a serious note, it's not a terrible game, it's just got too much trudging backwards and forwards. Far Cry 3, however, is a different beast entirely. You can get Far Cry 3 for 39% off. That will give you £21.24, which is not a bad deal at all, but is actually very slightly cheaper on GreenManGaming, and by very slightly, I mean by about 20 odd pennies. So you might want to get on GreenMan if you're one of those people who want to save every last dime they possibly can. You'll have to use a code on GreenManGaming, but it's freely accessible. Yes, I actually got my copy of Far Cry 3 from there, and it's fine. So yeah. Also with the Deluxe Edition, and the same thing could also be said for the Deluxe Edition, it's a few pennies cheaper. Now, in my opinion, I'd probably get it from GreenMan because it's not like you can actually have it on Steam anyway. In other words, it will just be a launcher and then runs through Ubisoft, so I'd rather save the pennies. It takes you 2 seconds to sign up. Not that I'm affiliated with them or anything, I'm just trying to save you guys every last penny you can possibly save because, hey, Christmas has been bloody expensive enough for all these sodding games. But on a serious note, the big question for you guys is not whether you should buy a Far Cry, because, well, I think everyone wants to buy a Far Cry, but whether you want to basically dig under your pillows and fetch those up extra few bucks and cough up for the Deluxe Edition. Personally, I went with yes. I did cough up for the Deluxe Edition. There's a couple of reasons for this. One, you can laugh at your friends and say ha ha ha. And the second reason is you do actually get some missions that are supposedly quite fun, although I haven't actually done them myself. For those of you who care about multiplayer, I care about multiplayer about as much as I do, let's say, the idea of running around in a miniskirt. Well, to be honest with you, I think that pretty much Deluxe Edition is worth the cash. You get the same soundtrack, survival guide, a few other bits and bobs. So yeah, I figure why the heck not, I'd cough up the extra few pennies for that. Okay, so assuming any of you are still listening now you've heard about Far Cry deals, let's go on with some other stuff, shall we? There's some actually good deals today. The problem is, many of them have been recycled, and I feel that that's actually the same with many of the deals. Indeed, many of them have been on the flash deals, so I don't know what it is with Steam. Maybe they're running out of ideas or something. Anyway, Orcs Must Die, the franchise is available again. I've been through this before, but I'll go through it again real quick for the, few of you wasn't listening to previous deals. Pardon me, sorry. I haven't played the booster packs, I haven't actually looked into them at all. I have, however, checked out Orcs Must Die 2. By the way, Far Cry 3, yes, I did check it out. I have got videos of it on the channel, so check it out if you've, one of the two people who haven't seen gameplay videos of it yet. Orcs Must Die 2 is, in my opinion, pretty cool. It's actually pretty great as well, single player. And, of course, is pretty much a tower defense game. The graphics are quite vibrant and so on. And you're quickly causing genocide towards orcs in this game, and it's fun to do so as well. I have a few issues with the title. I'm not sure how long personally I would play it single player, but there is a demo of this available, and it's going to be available for 48 hours for the deal, of course. You might want to go ahead and check it out. I think it's a pretty cool game, so check out the video, see what you think. Next one, Mark of the Ninja. The game has a few problems, but overall I think this is a pretty fantastic game. One of the issues I have with the game is that pretty much all of the really cool stuff, in other words, the moves and so on, are for murdering, but the game doesn't really want you to murder it. Most of it is for stealth. So I suppose it's kind of rewarding in the gameplay style. For those of you who want to murder everything, you've got the cool blood, squirting everywhere. You homicidal people, you. On the other hand, if you're one of those people who get their satisfaction from stealth, well, you can do that as well. You just won't get to see showers of awesome blood. On a serious note, however, the game is pretty cool. I have issues with the controls at the start because they actually feel too simple. I know that sounds really odd, but the game is almost too intuitive for words, and because it's so intuitive, you almost overthink when you're doing things. At least I did for the first 5 minutes, and rather than having to put the analog stick in a certain direction and pray to a god while you're trying to adhere to a surface, instead you have to just press a button and it works fine. So I really like Mark of the Ninja. It works pretty great. Recommend you check out the videos. It's an awesome game, and I have to admit there's very little of the game I would actually criticise for the price, which is £6. That's 50% off. It's an absolute steal and bargain. So, bar this being somehow being packaged in a humble bundle, I don't see this going any cheaper anytime soon. Next one is the Doom franchise. There's actually some really good deals on here. You can actually pick up the original classics, which include Doom 2, Final Doom, Master Levels of Doom 2, Ultimate Doom, and all the Doomy goodness that makes you happy. The Doom 3 pack, by golly, you can get as well, or you can get the remastered version, the BFG one. Now, I personally would recommend you go ahead and get the BFG. I did do some extensive videos on this, mostly involving the Lost Missions, and in my opinion, they're very, very good. The Lost Missions, which are basically an extension of Doom 3, and they actually feel really nice, and they look really nice as well, for the most part. Doom 3 BFG Edition has had some tarting up with the textures, but the core architecture looks very similar. Now, obviously, there's only a certain amount they can do with the same engine. It's not like they've, say, used a more modern engine. They've not put it on, say, I don't know, the CryEngine or something, or whatever id Software's been working on in the basement for its current engines. No, that's not the case. It's basically the free engine, but it doesn't look considerably better, or say the Rage engine, if you want me to be technical. But on a serious note, it's a good game, and I'd recommend checking out. But don't buy it from the Steam sale. Oh, by the way, Doom BFG Edition does come with the earlier Dooms as well. So you've got Doom 1, Doom 2, and Doom 3 in there. And they all work actually really well. And as far as I remember, I'm probably going to get a comment on this, they don't require the DOS box. They're actually native. So they work a hell of a lot better than the current packs. So that's, good. But, as I said, there is always a but in my videos. Don't buy it from Steam. I promise you I'm not working for these people. But if you go to GreenManGaming, they are doing a massive sale at the moment. They've actually already got 50% off of Doom 3, but you can actually use a code, and so you can get it for £7 rather than, £9.99 on Steam. So yeah, I mean, as I said before, I honestly have no affiliation to any gaming company. I really wish I did, but unfortunately I have to get this stuff for myself mostly, so I just try to get it as cheap as possible for you guys. Next one, Mount and Blade franchise. I can honestly tell you I haven't played this title, so yeah. I can, however, tell you that the reception for most of these titles seems to be so-so, and is a standard RPG affair. The graphics don't look terrible or anything like that. It's 75% off for the entire collection, or £7.49 if I can spit the bloody words out. My concern is, although it's not terrible, Metacritic is giving it 68 and 70s. I look at it this way. On a game like this, on the Steam sale, you could easily spend, well, on Steam sale and sales in general, you could easily spend over £100. I don't know what that would be in dollars. I'm guessing about 150 or so, maybe even 200. And if you get a game like this, in other words, I'm not sure if I want to get it, then probably don't, because I can guarantee you another two other games are going to come along and be like patting you on the shoulder and say, dude, seriously, play with us. So this is one of those I'd say to avoid it, in honesty. Yeah. Next one, Age of Empires collection. I don't think there's much more needed to be said than Age of Empires. You've got Age of Empires 3, the complete collection, tons of games. It's highly acclaimed, as you know. This is one of those titles where you're literally building an empire. It's a strategy simulation. You want to become a Napoleon or, you know, some pharaoh or whatever you're going to be building, depending upon the time period and obviously setting. As I said, it's critically acclaimed, and you could quite literally sink about half your life onto this game. There are other titles out as well that could be considered rivals. But Age of Empires is a very good game. It's a few years old now. It's released in 2009. I think for those of you who love this type of game, it's a really great purchase. And for those of you who are not really sure whether it's your thing, it's a good chance, should I say, if I can get the word out, to get your feet wet. Next one, flash deals. So we've got some flash deals, a couple that are going to be ending, including Devil May Cry, 3D Mark, and Trine. I'm just going to really quickly say DMC4 I've played. It's pretty cool. You can get it cheaper other places though. I think GreenMan still has a deal where it was like $1.99 or something ridiculous. Yeah, $1.69. You can actually use the code on it. The deal will probably be gone here by the time I've got it up on Steam, but if you still want it, it is available on GreenMan. 3D Mark Vantage for those of you who really want to see really awesome graphics in a benchmark setting. Quite honestly, if you're one of those who really likes to benchmark your system, then I can see why you pay for it. But for most people, I don't really think it's necessary. There is a demo, and there are so many benchmark software, there's so much benchmarking software out there, I question whether it's going to be worth it. The best reason for this is something if you're overclocking or tweaking, but for most of us who are just, you know, already had a system for several months and, you know, what we've found the settings, it's not really worth it. Can be cool though. You know, there is quite a big collection of people who like to benchmark and so on. You know, it could be worth it for those, but for the average gamer, probably not really if you're quite happy with your system. Trine Collection, The Goblin Menace and Trine 2 are fantastic titles. I'd recommend you pick them up, and Trine 1 is very good as well. I've been through this collection so many times, I think many of you know it by now. I've got videos of both Trine 2 and The Goblin Menace, so check it out. However, the deal will be ending soonish. Worms Revolution, this is available for 50% off, $5.99. I've been through this again before, but I'll go through it one last time. Worms Revolution, what more is there to say? I think the title is somewhat misleading. I think Worms Revisited would probably be more accurate. Or Worms with changed a little bits and pieces. Or Worms, the backgrounds are slightly more active. Or Worms now with a very annoying voiceover. Or Worms, you probably want to murder the voice actor by the time you've gone through the tutorial. On a serious note, it's not a terrible game. It's pretty cool. It's just a return to the Worms formula. My concern with the game is, A, it doesn't do anything unique, and B, I honestly felt like crying by the time I'd gone through the tutorial. The narrator who was going through everything, his sense of humour, I don't honestly know what they were going for with the sense of humour. I know sense of humour in games can either be you either love it or hate it. Personally, it was really starting to irritate me. Maybe, you know, your mileage may vary, you might absolutely find it rip-roaringly funny. Personally, I really got to the point where it's starting to irritate me. By the time I was recording the first impressions look on RGT. So you might want to check out the RGT video, although for the most part, of course, that's probably not going to be the concern for many of you guys, because quite honestly, you're probably going to be wanting to play multiplayer with friends, and that's something that Worms does do really well, especially locally. You can do it online, and that's cool, but I'll be honest, I personally don't like playing this type of game online. This is the kind of game where I have friends round and you laugh maniacally as you place a stick of dynamite next to them and you run away. And then you also laugh maniacally when they try to do the same thing, but then somehow mess up the jump, and then they fall down right next to the dynamite, and you can both get blown up. It's something very, I don't know, therapeutic about that I feel you need to do every so often in a friendship experience. But whether this is going to be worth it for you, I'll leave down to you. Personally, I'm not against Worms Revolution. I'm not against Worms. I actually really like the series. I just wish they did a bit more to it. It feels like a rehash every time, and although that can't be helped because I don't want to break the formula, so to speak. If you've got something like Reloaded or Armageddon, you're not going to find that much more here. You're just going to see more of the same. And whether you're going to like the gameplay changes is up to you or not. So yeah, it's a bit of a complicated answer, I know. Anno 2070, it's got reasonable Metacritic scores. And it's 60% off, which is $11.99. But I've heard from comments on my video and from forum posts that this has a very, very oppressive anti-piracy measures is basically what it comes down to. And that automatically makes me think, no, don't buy this game. I haven't played it. And so, yeah, it does look a very cool game, judging from screenshots and videos. But just because the anti-piracy measures are almost, well, from what I've heard, draconian, I just wouldn't buy the game based upon that. I personally hate that. It's one of my pet peeves with PC gaming. So it's up to you. It does look a very cool game. Maybe if they have reduced the anti-piracy measures for the Steam version, as far as I'm aware, they have not. So do Googling, because, some people don't have issues with certain levels of anti-piracy. Other people, like me, do. And one of the things that really pissed me off, for example, is limited amount of activation attempts. For example, you know what, sometimes I just want to uninstall the game or format a PC or whatever. Maybe I've gone to Windows 7, or from Windows 7 activated the game because I've just bought it, then moved to Windows 8, or just, and then thought, hey, you know what, I'm going to run Windows 8, and then thought to myself, hey, you know what, screw this, I'm going to, and you've reactivated the game on Windows 8, and then you thought to yourself, hey, screw this, I'm going to upgrade my CPU and motherboard. So that's basically a new format right there. You reinstall Windows 8, you reinstall that, you've used up 3 activation attempts. And there are some, instances where this doesn't really matter. You can ask for new keycodes and stuff. But other times it does, and it's a pain in the butt, and it's not worth it. So what I've heard, so do some research on this of your own accord. I'm not going to get into it any further. Plants vs. Zombies, £1.74. I can honestly say I've not played this one, but it's an action strategy type of affair. It does look kind of cool. This is well before RGT, so haven't got any videos of this one. This is probably going to be a love it or hate it. Pretty much most people I know who have played it love the darn thing. It's £1.74. You can try it out. It's a Game of the Year edition. Honestly say that it hasn't really interested me, but there you have it. PC Gamer give it a very, very good score indeed, however. Next one, Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 2, of course, is the continuation from the original Mass Effect, where Shepard realizes many bad things are coming towards the galaxy, including the Reapers, and he has to fight them. Mass Effect 2 is, in my opinion, a very good title. I don't know if it's necessarily better than the first, and you're probably gonna, and obviously you're gonna have to play all of them. You can buy the whole collection, by the way. That's Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 2 is the digital deluxe edition, which comes with some cool things. It just doesn't come with the DLC. I'll be honest with you. There have been a few times that I've seen Mass Effect quite cheap in various locations, including Mass Effect 3. But one of the issues I have with Mass Effect is by the time you've added the price of the DLC, and there's a lot of it, and for the most part EA/BioWare doesn't ever seem to do the titles cheaply, and so it can end up costing you a bloody sight more than what you originally thought it was going to. Now, you could always argue that you don't have to play the DLC, but some of the DLCs, such as, for example, Kasumi's Stolen Memory or Layer of the Shadowbreaker. Layer of the Shadowbreaker, for example, gives you a very good piece of information on Liara and what she's been doing. So when you come across Mass Effect 3, it doesn't come as a massive shock of, hey, how did she get into this position? You know, Layer of the Shadowbreaker explains a lot of this. Nevertheless, in my opinion, Mass Effect 2 is a very good title. There is the collection available now for Mass Effect that pretty much gives you Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, and there is little bits of DLC in that, but not all the DLC, so you're still going to have to cough up from some of it. Nevertheless, I'd probably recommend checking out the game regardless. There is a demo of it, although I did play the demo before the game was originally released, and in my opinion, the demo's not really that accurate as it can be, because obviously it can't show you all the RPG elements and the exploration of planets and so on. It's a very good title though, and I'd recommend checking out. What else is there? I've been asked by people to start covering more games that are kind of hidden deals. You can pick up I've been asked by people to start covering other titles that are hidden deals, if you were, and I'll probably do that tomorrow. I've already been recording for absolute ages on this particular video, so I might release either another video tomorrow, a second one, or something else I haven't decided. Nevertheless, I'm going to quickly highlight one really good deal right now, and that is Hard Reset, which is a first-person shooter, action indie title, and it's actually really cool. Hard Reset features many awesome... You know what? On Gamersgate, we currently have Driver San Francisco. That's £3.74. It's a very good game from what I've heard. Haven't played it personally, but for those of you who are interested in it, it's not a bad deal at all, and could well be worth it. You've also got the Civilization Gods of Kings 24-hour deal at the moment. That's 85% off on GreenManGaming. So that could be worth it if you're looking for it. That basically makes the expansion basically £3, which isn't too bad at all. GOG are doing a belated Halloween. That's Gabriel Knights 1 to 3 and Phantasmagoria for $8.45. From what I've heard, they're quite good games, although I haven't played them, so I can't give much more than that, as I'd recommend doing some checking. They are, in the case of, for example, Phantasmagoria, stop-motion type of looking games, and they look kind of cool, but whether you're going to want to cough up for them, it's down to you. It's worth noting as well that Gabriel Knights, for example, was released, I'm not talking about the third one, was released in 1999, so they're all obviously fairly old games. And so, you know, your mileage might vary on that one if you're actually interested or not. The artists formerly known as Director Drive, also known as Gamefly, have a fairly good deal on Mass Effect 3 for £7.49. So that's not a terrible deal. It's not the best deal, but it's not a terrible deal. Anyway, I think that's about everything for today. Somehow this video has become ridiculously lengthy, so I don't even know where the whole time went. Anyway, take care of yourselves. Bye for now. Hope you've enjoyed the video.